All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully everyone is doing great. I am your host, the Ice Dragon, RayronVR. I'm going to wait for the mic here to catch up so I can see if it's working okay. I've been doing some more adjustments to see if the mic's a little bit better to my liking. Yep, that'll work. Okay. Welcome everyone. How are you doing? Hopefully you guys had a great 2 weeks. Didn't stream last week because I love you guys so much, but at the end of the day, I had to take care of Bree. She is my #1 in my world, so had to take care of her, and you know, life happens. But we're back. Everything is good, and we're going to proceed. And my goodness, we have so much news, especially in the realm of the 250. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Let's go ahead and go to the Icy family. We've got Chuck with the Icy Cookie. We've got Jeff. We got Gormy Sleep in the Mud. We've also got we got Spooky Bleebree. How you doing? Yep, thank you so much for being patient with us. Absolutely. We are definitely back. I am excited. So, my goodness. Yeah, there's been so much going on. And based in model railroading, there's a lot going on with the paint schemes. There's the battle of the paint, as I like to call it, with the 250. BCA Parts, how are you, good sir? You are never late. You're always on time as you need to be. Welcome everyone who's going to be watching this video on the replay. Welcome to all the lurkers. We are approaching 8,100 IC family members here on the channel. Thank you everyone for your much continued support. And yeah, we are definitely on our way to the next big goal, which is going to be eventually 10,000, which is going to be insane. But yep, definitely improving. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and go to the showcase. We've got our Norfolk and Southern pulling our Freedom Train, of course, because it is another part 4 of America's 250th celebration. I'm trying to do a 250th stream every month up until the 4th of July. Definitely excited for the mega project with it. So with that, let's go ahead and turn our signal up there right above us. It is currently red. We got to change that, guys, right? We got to change it to green. So let's go ahead and throw that switch, or not switch, the light to green, giving our conductor a chance to go, or engineer, depending on how you want to look at it. And let's get this Freedom Train on the road here. So we got our camera car, and of course we got those Lionel old school American Freedom Train coaches. And we are on our way. Let's go ahead and do all the cameras here. All right, do a few laps and then we will go on the news. I haven't seen the 1225 lately. I haven't. I have not. All right, let's do one. This one, there we go. Do a quick engineer perspective, third person. Kyle Stevens, how are you, good sir? Welcome. Doing our quick initial inaugural first run here, and then we will go into the news. We have a lot to talk about. She pulled 90 covered hoppers. Whoa, nice. All right, looks like everything is somewhat peaceful and ready to go. We'll see how long that lasts. Get our showcase front and center. All right. Just got done running a new Kato D51. That's the steam engine, isn't it? The Japanese steam engine? I think I saw your video on it, if I remember correctly. That's a nice acquisition for sure. All right. Well, you guys know what time it is. It's time to go on Le Field Trip. we've got a lot of news to cover. All right, so the first thing we got from Solomon Tucker, we've got the Amtrak's 250th paint scheme on the Acela bullet train. Absolutely gorgeous. Here we've got the Revolutionary here. That paint scheme is just gorgeous. We got a lot more pictures to showcase. The fact that even Amtrak is doing better paint scheme than the Union Pacific. Yeah. It's just one of those days that, yeah. It's sad to be a UP fan like myself, considering that Amtrak is doing better, BNSF. Now we got, you know, Norfolk Southern. Yeah. There is a lot. So here's some more of the 1776 on the opposite end of the bullet train there from the Acela. Absolutely gorgeous. This comes from Kevin Burkholder here. Just absolutely gorgeous with the Revolutionary and with 1776. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. You've been enjoying your new Berkshire, the BLI 284. Yep. It is indeed a new Japanese steam engine. You absolutely love it. Of course, we've got to bash on UP. We got to. I mean, come on. Even BNSF. We'll get there. We'll get there. So here's another perspective here coming from Operator Logan. Beautiful paint scheme. And then the 1776 on the back there. Very nice. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we got any others. Okay. So yeah, definitely pretty cool in the Amtrak front. Okay, so we got some news from a company we have yet to, I think, talk about when it comes to news. We've got news coming out of Woodland Scenics, kind of a company we don't tend to talk about, but they've just announced these new sound systems, Just Plug. So you can just see, I'll give you guys the link, but they have different types of scenic noise that they're going to be doing. So yeah, kind of interesting. I see it'd be older vehicles, townspeople. So it's interesting to see where this is going to go, because I know we have a lot of companies that are trying to do noise and the animation. And yeah, the fact that Woodland Scenics came out of nowhere and started to do this. So everyone almost has some sort of bicentennial engine, a freight car. Yep. Pepperidge Farms remembers, yeah. I know, Bree, take it easy. Take it easy. Yep, you get some rest. So yeah, definitely something to look into. Another item I'm not sure if I've talked about lately is the model train box. I've seen a couple of my club mates at Samara start to use this. It's something that I really kind of want to get, because we do need an alternative to transportation of equipment when it comes to mono railroading. And this is a nice viable option. So it's basically like an overgrown typical engineer box that allows you to actually put full trains in. And you can see kind of everything that's associated with that. I know. Oh no. What's going on? All right, refresh. Sorry guys, looks like we're having internet issues again. We had a nasty storm roll through last night. All right, I think we are back. So, okay, I think we are back. So sorry about that. OBS decided to cycle through, and probably on the YouTube end. Let's see, whoever comes out with the BNSF bicentennial units, I'm going to try to get, yep, and we will definitely get into it. Definitely get into BNSF. Okay, so a few other things. We got this wonderful case here. So you can put some of your other engines and high value items in these particular cases. I think it's worth its weight in gold. We've got a repair cradle with that beautiful Garrett steam locomotive. Definitely on my bucket list of steamers to get. You can get a pack of 5 boxes for $175. So they got some rolling road there. They even got a case for your NCE power cab. Definitely an up-and-coming manufacturer. I highly recommend it. Okay, talked about Bowser. Not necessarily going to talk about that. Okay, so Metro, I believe 2.5 weeks ago, announced their kind of paint scheme. And long and behold, Rapido came out and announced that they're going to do that particular paint scheme in HO scale. Order by June 1st. So again, all these wonderful paint schemes coming out. Absolutely love it. Like the wallet is taking all sorts of hits today. But it could be worse. You could be an O scaler, O gauger, and get your credit cards completely maxed out. And we'll talk about that here soon too. Yeah, check those boxes out. Yeah, they're definitely good. I highly recommend it. So again, this is another look at the new N scale. Kato announced the Pioneer Zephyr, and we got all of the suggested manufacturer price. I have seen the power re-railers. I'm trying to remember. There's like 2 manufacturers that have it. I just can't remember what they are. But yeah, I have seen those. Those are pretty cool. So we got your DC with 3 car set with lights. We're running around $244 MSRP. If you want DCC, it'll be around $344. If you want sound and lights, it'll cost you around $444. Again, beautiful set. Again, we need this train in HO scale. I know Concorde used to run, but on the secondary market, these prices have astronomically skyrocketed. There you go. Worth their weight in gold. Okay, we've got a new update from our biggest model railroading museum over at Germany. They are doing basically this rainforest theme. And what's interesting about it is that they're taking kind of a fantasy twist to it. From my understanding, they're making this gigantic tree that's going to be the focal point for their entire expansion, for their rainforest theme. So the minute I kind of saw that they're doing this type of thing, it reminded me of like the tree in World of Warcraft. But again, just amazing what they're doing over there at Miniature Wonderland in Germany there. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to showcase was, you know, if you're getting into this hobby for the first time, I highly, highly, highly recommend looking at N scale first. And the reason why I say that is because the types of layouts you can do in N scale is astronomical at this point. You've got all the N-rail capabilities. You've got T-track. You got these pocket modulars. And what I like about these pocket modulars is that, for me, what really what I'm going to focus my attention on is HON30. We talked about it at last stream, kind of the state of narrow gauge. And this right here is an HON30 layout. It uses the T-track, and it's using the pocket modular system, but this is all technically HO. The buildings are HO, the people are HO, and I just really like the idea of having HO scale using some of this brilliant N scale type of building formats and standards. So And we will talk about more about that a little bit later as well. Yeah, N scale is really taking the hobby to a whole new level. Again, here's another HON 30 electric box engine here. Again, it's just so cool to see. And then this is actual N scale. And matter of fact, a lot of these are 3D printed. They're starting to come out with standards where you just put a piece of, you know, XYZ track of Kato and put it onto the 3D printed base, and then you have a table layout. It's truly revolutionary where N scale is going. And this right here is why I think TT scale in the US will not work. Because I know TT is designed for tabletop, but you got things like this that's revolutionizing N scale in the States that I can never see TT gaining popularity here. Really, really awesome. So you are working on your Jeep. Okay, no worries. Don't need to be sorry. Do what you gotta do, good sir. Skax, welcome. Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. We're kind of going through the news right now. We are running our American Freedom Train, and then we'll go from there. I think you may get into T-Track for the N-Scale Zephyr set, and we will talk about T-Track more after the news. Yeah, definitely a great scale. Again, if you're brand new into the hobby, into model railroading, me personally, I recommend N scale. Even though I am biased towards HO scale, for me, HO scale is the nice balance of price to material object that I can hold and actually work on. And it's just the scale that I've started with. But again, for functionality, there's so much more capabilities with N scale too. But again, find the scale that works for you and then have fun. It's the greatest thing about the hobby. So something that I found, again, this comes from the Union Pacific Railroad, posted by James Hickley here, that had these wonderful photographs back in 2013. And I thought I've seen all the Union Pacific passionate coaches, and then out of nowhere comes this UP210 laboratory car. And I had to save this just to share it because, man, I need to see if I can find this in brass or see if BLI will make this. But we basically have a little bit of an observation top over here. We've got some solar panels. It's just an interesting car that I've never seen before. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Sharing all the love with the subs, awesome. And that's what I love to see. Glad you guys are definitely. That is, again, it's about connection, it's about networking, and the world's greatest sandbox hobby. Love it. But yeah, I love this oddball car. So another car to kind of look at. But again, some solid pictures from Mr. Hickley here, or Hickey. Absolutely gorgeous. You like N scale, but my eyes don't. Caught between a rock and a hard place. You love HO, but the size takes too much. However, N scale doesn't need much real estate, but I'm also invested in HO. Yep. And that's why there's an appeal for TT, especially in the European market, because it's kind of the balance between the two. But again, I just don't know if manufacturers will take it on here in the States. The States is pretty dominant with HO, N scale, and O. And it's like, I love the formatting. I love the standards of N scale T-Track and the pocket modulars. And that's why I'm investing into HON 30. Granted, we don't have HON 30 locomotives of our narrow gauge. Again, that goes back to HON 3. But the 009 stuff that we're seeing from Europe has me 100% interested in doing that. So speaking of American narrow gauge, now I can't remember, do you guys know if Cast Scenic is narrow gauge or standard? I think it's narrow gauge. I could be wrong. But here's our, well, I would say narrow gauge, famous narrow gauge locomotives. We've got the Shea, we've got the Heisler, and they have a Climax. I think this is the Climax here. Yeah, there she is. There's the Climax. So the famous 3-geared locomotives, definitely my favorite. I'm hoping to get the 4-truck Shea here eventually. So it is standard gauge. Okay. Nice. Yeah, beautiful locomotives. Again, highly recommend following Big Trains on Facebook. They got some good stuff going on over there. Really, really good. Okay, Athearn announced that they're going to do another run of their General Electric AC 4400s, and you can see kind of the offerings here. So we got CSX, we got Ferromex, we've got Kansas City Southern, Southern Pacific, TFM, the gray Union Pacific, which I actually don't like, and then our typical Union Pacific paint schemes, both with text and the flag on the side. Again, if you're a modern diesel lover, there you go. And some few other offerings here with some coal cars, but main one are the diesels. But pretty cool. I will do that announcement last. I'll do that announcement last. Okay, so if you're in the world of O gauge, I know a lot of you guys typically don't do O gauge, but for those of you who do, basically O gauge got flooded with a plethora of big boys. I think, to my understanding, it's the Lion Vision. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to O gauge. You can watch other YouTubers when it comes to it. But they announced a ton of schemes. You can see there's a Pennsylvania big boy, there's a Freedom Train big boy, there's like a Polar Express big boy. And so if you're big into big boys and O gauge, your wallet has been shredded, burned, disintegrated. Good luck, because I thought the fantasy schemes were crazy before in O gauge. It's gone nuclear with this latest announcement. They actually did an entire catalog of big boys. I'm gonna see if I can actually find it since we're on the topic. Give me 1 second. See if I can find it. I think it's just one catalog too. Yep, Vision Line. So it's Vision Line big boys. Let's take a look. So welcome to another segment of things that I wish we had in HO scale. I'm kind of glad we don't, because my wallet would be really bad. Okay, so in O gauge, they got the white wheels. They've got the eagle on the front. Hey, Deep Run R&R Mike. How are you, good sir? Welcome. You are doing well. We got this beautiful elephant ears American Freedom Train scheme, which I absolutely love. We've got 4014 with the standard paint scheme there. Oh, I love that Freedom Train. That is brilliant. We got the coal tender. We got the 49er scheme, which is kind of meh. We've got the American flag on the side, which is pretty cool. We've got this Lionel exclusive, and then we've got this Pilot Vision. We've got this Christmas train version, which is absolutely spectacularly awesome. I love that scheme. I also love the Polar Express theme. So again, if BLI were to do this, man, I would be in so much trouble. So yeah, a lot of big boys. A lot. Let's see, we'll get to that. I don't really want to talk about that. Okay, so something that kind of caught my eye, which is actually interesting, is that you got to be careful where you invest. So this caught my eye, and I wanted to share as a public service announcement. The Attorney General suing Brecksville online model train seller for failing to deliver on products. So on Wednesday, a lawsuit was filed against Brecksville man accused of taking customers' money for collectible model trains that he never delivered. The lawsuit filed in the court advertised limited edition model trains for pre-order through social media and online marketplaces. According to the lawsuit, Wheeler accepted full payment for model trains from the manufacturer Broadway Limited Imports and told customers they would be shipped upon release. However, the member never paid the manufacturer and the products were not delivered. And he also did not provide refunds. So again, they're also doing class action lawsuits. So yeah, definitely be careful where you submit your pre-orders. I never thought I'd see the day that we'd see frauds and scams within the model railroading community. And I think this is the first one I've ever seen something like this. So again, be very careful who you're doing your pre-orders with. I would say go to a reputable hobby store. There's plenty that we can name that, you know, like Train World and all those other places. But yeah, absolutely crazy to think about that. We're living this day and age. So yeah, be careful out there, guys. Be careful. Okay, so Bowser has announced that they're doing another RS3 local run. They are doing several new schemes here. They got Pennsylvania, we got Southern, we got the Reading and Lines, we've got this Penn Central, we've got Providence and Worcester, we've got New York Central, New Haven, Maine Central, LNN, Interstate, Great Northern, Lackawanna, Delaware and Hudson, B&M, and that is your lineup. So again, these RS3s, I have a Missouri Pacific RS3 that I would highly recommend looking at. Got some videos on it, some shorts on it, but everything that Bowser touches right now is absolutely gold. Bowser's quickly becoming one of my upcoming manufacturers this year. Their C4 15 diesels was a huge success. They're also doing another run. Their RS3s are really well done, very well detailed. My only complaint about them is that they don't technically have a keep alive, but their pickups are really good, and the packaging. I hate the fact that you got to have a screwdriver to unpack the locomotives from the case. I wish they were clamshells, but what can you do? What can you do? All right, now for another moment of truth here. So, out of nowhere, BNSF for the first time does these commemorative locomotives. It is not a sticker, ladies and gentlemen. Hallelujah. It is an actual paint scheme. It looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful for BNSF. They're going to be doing 3 locomotives. They've got the Freedom here of 2026. And I think the other one, I believe, is Liberty. And they're going to be doing the third one, which I'm not sure what that one's going to be. But yeah, absolutely beautiful paint schemes. I think these ones are the best so far. And we'll talk about Norfolk and Southern. But I actually like this better than... I think I like this better than... This could be a hot take. I think this is better than Canadian National. I like the Screaming Eagle. But I think this not only goes to the roots of the 240 of America, this goes back to the days of Santa Fe. Like, they really honored their legacy. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. We the People for Freedom. And then the Liberty one in the back, or right here. So it's got like the seal. I think that's the seal of America. But yeah. So you think your favorite 250 locomotives and motors Amtrak? Yep. I think BNSF ones are a bit nicer than the Norfolk Southern and NCNs. Yep, I agree. I agree as well. This scheme is really, really well done. Of course, we got some memes here. Let's say honor 250. We talked about that. But yeah, I absolutely love BNSF's paint scheme. Amtrak is good too, but BNSF is really nice. So we got some updates on the Southern locomotive. So you can see it's being painted with its tender. I think this will be ready in time for the National Train Show there in Tennessee. Kind of a nice little update there. Broadway Limited has some more tank cars ready to go, if you're into that. Yeah, yep. They definitely honored Santa Fe for sure. So this was the photo that I saw that I wanted to save and kind of talk about with BNSF. So here's kind of honoring that legacy. And I mean, just look at the two with the 5700 in the past from Santa Fe to the BNSF. That is just, it's classy. It's nice. I think that's why I like this one more than the Canadian National. The Canadian National is just out there, crazy, insane, and I love everything about it as well. But there's a sense of class that comes, and I think that's why I like this over Norfolk Southern as well. Norfolk Southern kind of went kind of crazy with it, which again I respect, and mad props to them for doing 6 engines. But there's a certain clash and finesse, and just it looks good to the eye. And the fact that they're kind of saluting not only the 250, but you know, the legacy before them, I think that's just a masterstroke. Yeah. So you want to see the bottom paint scheme has been in the works for over a year now. Wow. Yep, the paint scheme is classic. I really love it. Yep. Yeah, we'll definitely be getting these when it comes to HO scale. Absolutely. So again, another kind of side-by-side comparisons here. So even with BN here too, when they did their 1976, I mean, that is just classy. Really, really classy. Yeah, the paint scheme was their 1976 paint scheme. Yeah. This was well done. Mad props to BNSF. Looked really, really good. This was the official announcement from BN. Oh yeah, absolutely. I bet you they're working on it now. And the cool thing about BNSF is that this, I think, is the first kind of Class 1 railroad that acknowledged just this generation. By them doing this in their advertising and marketing, they're actually acknowledging us, which is freaking amazing. Social media, they're in tune with the age. And who would have thought, of all Class 1s, it would be BNSF? Ah, gorgeous. Yeah, so we got the seal there, the eagle. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Freedom and liberty. And then they're 250. So I'm glad that the rumors of them doing 3 diesels were true. Because they came out spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Okay. I don't know. I don't know the type. Wouldn't be surprised if Gale Trains had a hand in the paint scheme, or really Athearn, since they know the only ones that makes Santa Fe units. Yeah, probably. I mean, that's a good point. Good point. Let's see. There was something about. Oh, why did I save this website? I don't remember. I know they were doing a brand new announcement. Yeah, I think it was EC44s. That sounds about right. Okay, so kind of some other news. We've got Microtrains by Atlas coming out with the Artemis 2 mission commemorative boxcar, coming soon to N scale and HO scale. So what's interesting about this is that Microtrains was originally an N scale kind of market, but the fact that Atlas is now bringing this to the HO world, I think that's a very good step in the right direction. My only concern about this is what's listed right here. So it says HO kit for $49.95. I'm curious what that means. Does that mean that we have to put it together? Is it a wood kit? Is it a plastic kit that we got to put together? And if it's a kit, why on earth is it $50? And so I would like to see what they mean by kit, because that has grabbed my attention. Yes, so it was one of the biggest news, I think, last year or earlier this year, is that, yeah, Atlas bought Microtrains. The owner of Microtrains was retiring, and so Atlas bought them. So that entire lineup is under the Atlas umbrella. They kept the they kept the Oregon plants for graffitis and so forth. The tooling and everything got moved to, I believe, China. Some to China, some to Vietnam. But yeah, Atlas did buy Microtrains. So yeah, kind of interesting to see. I'm kind of interested, but oh, it's all good. Mine isn't great either. My short-term memory sucks. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so we actually got some local news. So again, one of the big three clubs here in San Antonio, we got Samurai, which is the one I'm mostly active with. We've got the Texas Transportation Museum, and then we also got Elmendorf. Elmendorf falls under the umbrella of San Antonio Railroad Heritage Museum, is the actual name of the organization. So they have announced that they're going to be acquiring SP Line steam engine number 260, which is absolutely amazing. They are planning to restore the steam engine to full operational. That is amazing, amazing news. And I wish that I was still kind of active with Elmendorf, because honestly, that would have given me my window to actually help out restore a full-blown locomotive. Unfortunately, next year we'll be moving. So won't be able to see it, but I know everyone is associated with Elmendorf and their operations. But highly, highly, highly recommend following the San Antonio Railroad Heritage Museum out there at Elmendorf. They are doing some great, great work out there. Okay, I hate when Facebook does that. They save the link, but doesn't save the announcement. I don't know why that is. Kind of wish you been active with Yeah, Elmendorf is far. It's about 25 minutes away from San Antonio. So again, another announcement from Microtrains by Atlas. This is the 250th boxcar that they're doing. And again, the interesting about it is that they're saying HO kit. for $49.95. I want to know what the heck that means when I say kit. Absolutely curious why, what in the world do they mean by that? So we'll see. We shall see. All right. So we've got the Pennsylvania Railroad T1 Steam Locomotive Trust. So if you guys are not familiar with the trust, this is basically an organization that's taking a plethora of donations from crowdfunding sources, from people like you and me, giving charitable donations to basically make the next number manufactured in the T1 lineup. And so you can see kind of the progress that's happening here. It is 65.4% complete, $5.1 million raised. They've attained 1,754 blueprints, which is absolutely amazing. They've already contributed 46,000 volunteer hours, and looks like they're on track for a 2030 completion. So basically everything that you see in green is already complete and constructed. And then everything in yellow is on order or under construction. So you can see that everything is good to go for the T1. And you can see the plethora of parts that they had to do to reconstruct it. An absolute monumental achievement from this trust. So yeah, we're gonna have a fully operational T1 in the not so distant, in about 4 years' time. In 4 years, we'll have 5550. Absolutely cool. I mean, it just also goes to show you the power of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, grants, getting the word out there, providing legitimate updates. Like, it's insane. It's cool to see. Very cool to see. Okay, so we got some news on the Desert Victory Union Pacific. It is being donated to the Iowa Preservation Group. So in Iowa, they donated number 3422, formerly Union Pacific Desert Victory Unit 3522, the American Heartland Railroad Society seeking donations to repaint locomotive into the Desert Vehicle Camouflage or Desert Victory Camouflage paint scheme, with the goal of doing this by Veterans Day, November 11th. So again, this unit was originally painted like this. It was given to the G&W and was painted to their paint scheme, and now it's been donated to this organization, and they're going to try to repaint it back. Again, it's a 501c3 organization. So there's the paint scheme there. But they're going to go ahead and try to get the funds to repaint it back to the original Union Pacific paint scheme. And that'll be in time to have duck for dinner. Yep. Question for T1 and for your C4 or 614 is, where will these run, and who will be allowed the mainline running if a Class 1 loss? They've answered that. I can't remember where, but we can search it out. Yeah, I think it was last year that the T1 Trust announced where it's going to live. Let's see if I can find it. I know they've announced it. Let's take a look. All right. Let's do another field trip. All right. I know it's here somewhere. It's just amazing how far they've come from nothing to all this. I think this was the announcement here. Okay, so after months of searching and a little bit of destiny, we found that place. Denison, Ohio. Jeff hit it on the nail. On the head. So in partnership with the Denison Railroad Depot Museum, the trust secured a 1.7 million USDA grant to build a brand new 60-foot by 200-foot locomotive and passenger car restoration shop right across from the historic depot. The two-track facility will serve as a dual mission, maintaining the museum's fleet of historic passenger cars for excursions and becoming the place where the PRRT-1 5550 will rise from the rail steel to a living, breathing locomotive. Starting in 2026, the frame, tender, wheels, boiler, and countless handcrafted components will move in. Under one roof, piece by piece, the T1 will come alive. Can't wait to see BLI or maybe Skill Trains do a T1 after a new one is done. So I think the one that's in best position to do it is BLI, because I know BLI has done T1 before in their Blue Rail line many years ago. So I think we'll definitely see one from BLI, and I can also see them using the using their tooling to do many other paint schemes too. Scale Trains is not in a position to do the T1 tooling because I don't think the MTHHO that they bought included a T1. I don't think MTH made one. Yep. So yeah, there is your answer. Yeah. And I think they're holding off of doing a T1 and HO scale again until this gets completed. It makes sense from a business standpoint just to hold off. Like, get the tooling acquired now. And if you think about it, once this T1 is ready, they can go out and record 5550's noise, so that way they can include it into their Paragon 4s. So yeah, it actually makes sense for them to wait. It makes all the sense in the world to wait. Yeah, I think they did one in O scale for MTH. I'm not sure though. But yeah, pretty darn cool. Okay, Value Trains is also doing some more boxcars. We've got their 250 Eagle here. We got the Abraham Lincoln. We got We the People, and they got the America 250 logo as well. Which I actually like this. I like this boxcar. Makes sense since the way for 5550 is done, so they record the sounds. Yep, that's my guess. So they'll probably get all the sounds, get all the recordings, and then they will do a ton of schemes. I can see them doing the T1 schemes in the Conductors Club, like we've seen with the their latest run of steam engines. Yeah, I think we will see that tooling used a lot. A lot. Okay, and then the announcement that I believe broke this morning. Yeah, it broke this morning. Norfolk Southern has announced 6 paint schemes for their 250th commemorative fleet. So we've got the Bell here with their paint scheme. Pretty cool how the nose goes into the wave of the stripes here with 1776. We've got the Lady Liberty, kind of the same thing. It goes from the logo here of the horse to the stripes on the side, Lady Liberty for 2026. We got the Freedom, kind of doing the same thing. And then we got the Stars and Stripes. So we got a 250th with the stars. We got the Soaring. And then we got the Patriot. which I think this one's pretty cool with the horse and the American flag inside it. And there we go. Our latest in the battle of the paint schemes of the Class 1 railroads. There is Norfolk Southern. So, do I like it? Yes. But I'm not sure. It seems a bit basic to me, but what I do like about it is that if you look at the 6 engines together, it's actually pretty cool what they did. They got basically I think these are GEVOs, and then they got the ACEs. I believe these are ACEs. So they did 3 in the ACEs, they did 3 in the GEVOs, which is pretty cool. We've got stars for these 3. We got the stripes on these 3, so stars and stripes. So out of the 6, if you look at it as a whole, it's actually pretty cool what they did. So yeah, I think it's clever. So let's see here. Nice boxcar, even retool, classic we can't recall. So technically Class 1 railroad left is CSX, 4250 scheme. Don't disappoint me, CSX, yep. So I think CSX should be coming out with one if the rumors are true. But technically they do have a 1776 already, so I'm curious what they're gonna do. You like the Lady Liberty the best? I think they're really good, but not as good as BNSF, but a lot better than UP. Anything is better than UP. UP just did the bare basic, the bare basic homework by putting a sticker on it. And I'm not even, we don't talk about 45, 47. But yeah, the stars and stripes. So one of these locomotives, I think it'll be a 250, will be with 4014. Because remember, in their announcement going east, a Norfolk Southern 250 unit will be attending 4014. But yeah, out of all of them, I like the horsey down at the bottom here. Now, is it good enough for me to get these in HO scale? No. Like I said, I think out of all of them that I really want to get, it's BNSF. BNSF, Canadian National. And if the price is good, maybe I'll get these just so I can complete the collection. Because again, I'm a collection completionist. And so I'll probably still get these in HO. There's still good units to do every 4th of July as well. So yeah, absolutely crazy. So Amtrak came out with their announcement. We had BNSF and now Norfolk Southern. Awesome. Love it, love it. Okay, and then we've got one bit of last news that I wanted to talk about. And this is going to take kind of a sad turn. So our friends out at New Tracks Modeling, I will share the link here. So this New Tracks Modeling shares a special place in my heart because if it wasn't for New Tracks, I probably wouldn't have been doing YouTube per se. So there's a history here with me and New Tracks. So I was actually, back in the day, about 3 years ago, I was actually part of the New Tracks Modeling team. They used to do both a Wednesday and a Saturday stream. And really, New Tracks Modeling got me into everyone else that kind of did YouTube train shows. They were the first that, during COVID, they actually did a train show digitally. And that's when I met Bernard from Mini Prints, met Mr. Hunter from Hunterline, and met so many good people who do scratch building. If you're a scratch builder, I cannot recommend New Tracks Modeling enough. They do a lot of scratch building work, from buildings to track to scenic work. It is by far, you'll learn so much from plenty of master model railroaders on this YouTube channel. Cannot recommend it enough. And so unfortunately, we got the news that Mr. Hunter did pass away. So from the Hunterline Facebook site, it is with deep sadness that Hunterline announced the passing of Rick Hunter on May 10th, 2026. The store will be closed until further notice. And again, if you guys don't know the Hunterline products, let me show you one that was popular pretty much across the board. Let's go to just me. Okay. So in the scratch building world, the Hunterline products made the weathering inks. And I cannot begin to tell you how good this product is. So that's 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. Here's 6. Here's 7. And 8. So I bought these because when it comes to weathering, when it comes to getting the rustic feel of a building that's gone through a lot, the big ones that I was going after was raw umber and the royal blues, because these inks, these mixtures, is what I was going to use for my layout when I get into the scenic evolution of my knowledge and expertise. Haven't got there yet because I'm still kind of focused on the functionality of model railroading. There will be a time when, you know, I finally settle down, finally get the final retirement layout, that I want to dive into doing all of the kit builds and so forth. There's another channel, Tom's Trains and Things. He's over on Rumble now. He used to do a lot on YouTube, but over on Rumble, Tom's Trains and Things does a lot of the scratch building buildings and what was it, Campbell models that use a lot of this ink, and you can really see how important these ink washes are. Yeah, I got Boxcar Brown right here, but again, a very sad day in the world of scratch building. I met Mr. Rick Hunter again virtually on New Tracks Modeling, and the guy was such a pleasant person to listen to. He was definitely a mentor. He was that type of person that he was a funny go-to guy, and it just sucks that he passed away, because that is a big loss in the community. And when you guys do find yourself scratch building or weathering, Hunterline was almost a go-to product. It was that good. Let's go back to the field trips here. But so yeah, this is the Hunterline products. You can see some of the photos. Again, a lot of wooden bridges that were used. But yeah, it's, when I read that, it's like, oh man, that's a big freaking loss for the community. Hello, Randall. Hopefully you are doing well. We just had a lot of eye candy with the BNSF Heritage Games. We think it's definitely the best. I think it's the best. 250 yet. So yeah, basically what you would do with some of these scratch build kits is that you have pieces of wood, and you'll have the template on a piece of paper, and you will cut that wood to the specs that's actually on the paper, and then you would use a Hunterline stain, like this one is a light gray from Hunterline, and then you actually stain this wood to get the desired effect. So again, you can see that he used kind of a red here for this shed building. Yeah, I agree. Definitely look good. But so yeah, you can see some of the weathering effects here. Again, using those stains from the Hunterline, you can get a lot of these desired effects. Yeah, there's Mr. Hunterline. Again, rest in peace. Prayers to the family out there.
Three.
Okay, let's go. Can I go to the YouTube channel? It's not allowing me to go to the YouTube channel. Oh, I was subscribed to them. Oh, they only had the one video. Yeah, just to kind of illustrate the point of how important this product was, you can see the stains that they're using on the particular piece of wood. And that's why I got a whole bunch. That's why I got a whole bunch of these stains, is because you can get so much desired effects for their products. Hi. Cameras are on. Do you need me to turn it off? Okay. So yeah, definitely a major loss in the railroading community. Again, I met them on New Tracks Modeling, and then when they stopped doing their Saturday shows, I couldn't do their Wednesday shows behind the scenes, so that's when I actually gravitated towards building this channel, building, you know, the Rayron brand and adventuring into what we basically have today. But cannot recommend it enough. Go visit New Tracks Modeling. Definitely a great channel. And a lot of their super chats go to scholarships for those to model as a major in college, which is pretty cool. All right. So with that, I think that is all of the news that I've got. The Artemis, again, we'll take one last field trip for that. Again, this eye candy is absolutely amazing. Props to BNSF. Again, that paint scheme is by far the best. Let's see. Now they start using Roku instead of Uber drivers down at Memphis. We'll be much happier. Yeah, I can't wait for scale trains to make these. That's going to look really nice. Have to make some slight changes to the tooling. But yeah. Huh? Yeah. Bree is waving on the camera at the bottom left there. All right, let's see. Cruising on hype about that. You know, Randall, for your channel, I don't know if you can you? You probably have to wait till, never mind. I'll probably ask offline. I'm actually curious about something. But yeah, that paint scheme is so nice. This is, the more I look at it, the better it gets. Yeah, BNSF knocked it out of the park. Let's see, what was this one all about? Oh yeah, that's what this was. So the Colorado Railroad Museum, again, the home to High C. We talked about narrow gauge. And one of the big reasons why I would love to do HON3 is for this right here. The Galloping Goose is such a unique, weird thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a freaking truck wannabe on the tracks. I would love to do HON3 to get one of these. And not only that, if I were ever to do 7.5 gauge railroading, this is what I would get, because I already know a website that you can put one together as a kit, and it's an electric motor with batteries, and you have the controller, and you can just have fun riding it. And I think it's one of the easiest ways to get into 7.5 gauge is with the Galloping Goose. Yeah, this is so cool. And then there's a plethora. That's a closed Galloping Goose. We got an open top back here in the back. That's so cool. I love the Galloping Gooses so much. So if it's the one thing that'll get me into HOM3, it's these guys right here. So yeah, highly recommend following the Colorado Railroad Museum. So cool. All right, let's see, what else have I missed? Let's see, we talked about that. Again, this goes back to the announcement of Rick Hunter. Again, prayers to the family. Yeah, absolutely agree, Kyle. Absolutely agree. Yeah, that's probably number 3 for me, is the Nevada Northern unit that Scale Trains is doing. So yeah, I guess that's a good thing. We should do a tier list. Once everything settles down, I think what we'll do is probably the stream after the 4th of July, we'll do a tier stream for all the units and rank our favorite S tier, F tier, like, I'll try to gather all the images and we'll do an S tier list. But I think for me, definitely BNSF is up there, followed by Amtrak, Canadian Northern, and everything else at N, in Pacific at the very bottom. So yeah, that is all the news. Definitely a wild, wild news week. All right. If you guys have any news that I may have missed, feel free to share in the chat and we will go and look at it. Now we will go ahead and do some rail fan in here. Again, I've got the Norfolk Southern honoring our veterans diesel, pulling our American Freedom Train. Oh, did I say Canadian? No, I meant Canadian National. I just invented a new freelance railroad there. Someone should do, you know, that actually sounds like a very cool name for a freelance railroad, the Canadian Northern. What if Canadian National and Burlington Northern merged? Yeah, there we go. That's a great what if scheme. All right, let's take a look at the channel here. Posts. We talked about 250. So that's something that we can talk about. No, no, I don't feel like talking about that actually. Okay, let's go to some channel news. Okay, so last week again couldn't stream because again Bree came first, but I do have something that I am cooking up. A company called Fast Tracks. You may have actually heard this particular company. They're the ones that do a lot of the scratch building when it comes to track laying and switch turnouts and so forth. They also have these sticks that help you guide a particular turn radius. And so I ordered the radius 34, radius 32, and the radius 30. And that's going to help me build the turns that I need for the future circle. Someone suggested UP and BNSF should merge. Oh, that's funny. Now that is a true classic scenario of a Penn Central. Going in the same direction, same kind of main lines, but yeah. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about, that's what we should talk about. So we were talking about the concept of T-tracks. So originally I was going to do T-track N-scale because I love the format. And I decided to shift direction with it. And I actually wanted to turn this into an HO and 30 narrow gauge T-track layout. And so you can actually see this on camera. I kind of have it sitting on the floor here, but off to the left there, and I'll maximize this. Those of you who are OG to the channel, there are our T-track modulars. Based off the NRAIL T-track standards. And there's plenty of companies out there that have these wood laser cut kits that you can literally glue together and glue the Kato track on top of it, and you have an instant layup. But again, this gives you kind of a perspective on the scales between HO and N scale. Unfortunately, I had to do a couple of moves over the years, and these particular modulars got beat up really bad. The drops have been stripped from the Kato connectors. A lot of the track has come off the actual wood itself. The glue kind of didn't hold right. And as you can see, they're kind of a little bit of a sorry shape. I think I'll make a YouTube video series on this particular layout and what I want to do with it. But I want to utilize this layout. All right, guys are talking about all the real world railroading. Yeah, great conversation for sure. So yeah, this T-track layout over here will be the new 009 layout. Eventually, I want to grab some Bachmann locomotives. I want to start 3D printing some locomotives as well. And really, narrow gauge is my phase 3 when it comes to, you know, what is my end-all be-all layout. Yeah, that right there is the future. All right, let's go ahead and get the 4 cameras here. We'll do some rail fanning. So again, we've got the BCF parts view in the bottom right, and we've got the 2 cameras on the train themselves. You got the engineering perspective, 3rd person, top right, and then you see the American Freedom Train in the top left. And then we got that famous green signal on the bottom left. in due time, I'll try to get this quality upgrade. I know it's kind of the greatest quality right now. I'm still working some bugs, try to get a little bit better quality, but there's a lot of capturing within capturing, so the quality is lost. All right. Coming around the corner here, there's the BCF tower there. We got that new town hall building for Icyville on the right there that we got when we were in Dallas. And the industrial section of Icyville. And working our way around here. So originally I was going to run my 3D printed train, but I had to park on the side there because I had other projects I was working on. So right there on the right is our 3D printed ore cars that have cows in it currently. Timothy, welcome. How are you? Welcome back. Hopefully you are doing well. Yes, it is. I am a nerd as well. Sailor Moon is my most favorite anime. I am also an anime kind of geek in a way. There's a whole collection of Sailor Moon just memorabilia. Bria and I met based off of Sailor Moon, so there's a lot of like history. Yeah, we'll see it coming back. There's a whole cabinet just of collectibles. Used to read a lot of manga, just don't have the time for it right now, but I have a whole manga library. Model railroading became my most dominant hobby though, so it's like I kind of retired a little bit in all my other collections. And just 100% focused on this hobby. It's just gotten to the point that, you know, everything is getting expensive and can't really afford to have multiple collections / hobbies. So yeah, there's the, you see the posters on the left there. And some Pokemon posters on the left there of the train wall. And then my mobile workbench with all my tools and knickknacks. And yeah, you can see the whole collection there of the Sailor Moon stuff. Kind of the shrine a little bit between Bree and I. And then the wall of trains. So that whole wall just has a lot of my diesel, steamers, a ton of passenger coaches. Mostly River Aussie, AMC. If it's one thing I really wanted to showcase is that when it comes to this layout, again, this layout is a Freemo, Minimo design. You don't need to have like this perfection layout to enjoy the hobby. And what I try to showcase is just how modular, how mobile, you know, this hobby can really be. Yeah, here the manga side model change rate took off once you moved into your new house. You need to finish 2 series. Nice. Should you have multiple hobbies? Yes. Can you afford them? I mean, how much do you really need to eat? Yep. Yep. And again, that kind of goes into the discussion of, you can make this hobby as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. And it's like, another thing too is that my return on investment when it comes to model railroading is like 10 times over. When I buy an engine, I literally get so much value for money because I can run it around my layout to my heart's content. I can run it on the Samer layout. I can run it on the TTM layout. I can run it on Elmendorf. I mean, the amount of replayability when it comes to model railroading is off the charts. Whereas, like, if I buy a manga book, I may read it all the way through once, and when's the next time am I going to touch it, right? Sure, I can probably have a manga channel on YouTube and talk about it, but again, there's only so much you can do. Whereas this hobby, you can take so many different avenues with just a diesel locomotive. You guys see just how many different angles I can take, even with this one diesel. Like, I'm going to switch. So let's take our Norfolk Southern diesel, for example. I can run it on a live stream. I can run it on the branch line as a rail fanning video. I can take it and use it as a short. I can spend it with my free time offline and just watch it go around in a circle until my heart's content. And I just think that's one thing that's kind of lost in the hobby is that, yeah, sure, a steam locomotive or a diesel locomotive is between $300 to $800, but what is the value that you get from that replayability? You haven't looked at Humongous since you moved. Collecting vinyls took it over. And that's the thing is, like, I used to collect other things. Like, I used to collect, I mean, I still have a manga collection, but I don't buy new manga anymore. I don't buy new, like, figurines anymore. I quickly learned that this hobby is where I want to spend that hard-earned money. Because, again, we live in an age where if you even are blessed to have some disposable income, you can only afford one hobby, really. And people tend to forget, too, that eating can be a hobby, too. Ordering from Uber every day, that's a hobby. You can see how quickly, that luxury money goes away. But, I'm blessed enough to at least have a collection here. I'm blessed to have at least a layout, and have people around me that support me in doing that adventure. I give a lot of praise for Bree for giving me this layout. But it's always the little things in life. Digging around to clean the house a little, found a Demon Slayer Volume 23, had it for a few years. Yep. All right, let's go to all the cameras. And it's like with that one diesel, how many different consists can you make out of that one diesel? And that's why I try not to limit myself too prototypical. Because it's like, with being what I call a fantasy freelance, I can pull whatever I want, create whatever crazy consist I want. And it's just, you got so many different combinations to the nth degree of what you can do with that one diesel locomotive that costs you $350. So I'm jealous that you got to run your trains at a club. So one thing I would recommend BCF parts, if you can, you know, what's stopping you from creating a Fremo layout? But yeah, I get what you mean. I am grateful that that I have clubs nearby. There are other people that are less fortunate. I'm glad you have a layout with all the woodwork was done. Well, but hey, but at least it's you enjoy and you're having fun with it. Hello, Fresno, Jason. How are you, good sir? There's 3 clubs in Chicago, but each is a drive and membership is expensive. Yeah. So that's a whole nother discussion, probably for another stream. But you know, there are great benefits to being the club, but there's also great benefits of being a lone wolf, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's the great thing about this hobby, is that you can turn this hobby into something that you can enjoy. So you like to call it proto lance. I always like using the term fantasy freelance. I know it's kind of a made-up term within the community, but I always like using the word fantasy because my lore has fantasy mechanics that make it unrealistic in this world. When you see like proto-lance, there's still some sort of prototypical elements that made your railroad that could potentially make it plausible. The FPR, there's no way in the world that it would be possible, because I actually introduced several science fictional elements to my railroad in order for it to work. Because again, I invented cryotherium, which is basically my magical thing for everything. You know, you got this giant ice age storm that happens that typically wouldn't be a thing. We've got something called the cryo gates that allows us trains and transportation to go through multiple dimensions. That's why we can include other gauges and so forth. So it's a whole nother element to the storytelling aspect of it. And I want to tell more stories. It's just YouTube right now does not know what to do with AI content. And I think they're leaning in the direction of not, or heavily disallowing AI use. So I'm kind of on hold right now to figure out where YouTube really wants to make a stand. So kind of on hold with the storytelling, unfortunately, but let's see. So when you call it proto-lance is because I do make the scenery look very realistic, yet run whatever I'm feeling at the time. There you go. Yeah, and that's the beauty about this hobby, is that we can call it whatever we want. Some people like prototypical. Some people like the freelance version of it. Some people like the proto-lance of it. And that's the beauty of model railroading. Not only can we enjoy running trains going around, we can enjoy the storytelling aspect, and that's what I love about it. Like, the whole concept of the FPR is that I want to tell short stories. And so when we go back to the channel, this is my story. What I call the core lore of the Frost Line Pacific Railway is pretty much summed up in 6 episodes. You got the Ice Age. You got how Class 1 railroads had to be formed quickly. You had, again, this is where I start going into the fantasy side of things. We've had basically the federalization of the rails and created the Frost Line Pacific Railway. We got how the Ice Age has caused us to go back into steam restoration, and then how the Heart of the Frost Line came into play, which is basically where Icyville kind of sits. And then we got the Endless Horizons, which is basically the future of where I want to go with model railroading as a whole. So if you look at these particular core episodes, right now, My Icyville in its current state is basically FPR after it was formalized. So I would say basically in episode 3 is where this layout is placed as far as timeline is concerned. And I'll explain more about timeline a little bit later. I'm still trying to finalize my eras. So basically the Frostline Pacific Railway is in the era of what I call the Rainbow Era, obviously a spin-off of the Amtrak Rainbow Era, where the Frostline Pacific Railway has inherited everything you can imagine when it comes to railroad equipment. And that gives me the luxury of mix and matching consists. And eventually we'll get our FPR paint scheme to get us into the FPR era. Again, I've been thinking about this for freaking months now, almost years. So, okay, let me catch up with you guys here. So still going to model Norfolk and Western, but honestly, would like to collect things alongside the NW roster. Nice. So Dan Porter, past wide proto freelance, mostly modeling 90s. He's got some Steamwork motors, and he's gonna make it where you can run by a tree. You don't know. Interesting. So you do prototypical work in your live streams, side of the hobby. You leave end skill to whatever imagination garners. Very nice. So the fantasy, let's see, with the fantasy snow aspect, you need a snow piercer. Yep, working up. All right, BCF Parts, take it easy. I appreciate the kind words there. Again, you guys make this channel. You guys determine when we make the milestones. You guys determine when, you know, the channel gets monetized with all that. But again, I'm having fun sharing the world's greatest sandbox hobby. That's just what it is. It's what I love to do. But yeah, with the core lore, with these 6 episodes, it basically describes all of the Frostline Pacific Railway. And then what I can do is that now that I have the core lore, you guys kind of understand what's going on, I can then start creating short stories. So a lot of this was inspired by several different things. Obviously, my main core is telling stories, which telling stories was derived from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You've got the trolley that goes from one place to another to expand the world of storytelling. That is where I get a big chunk of my inspiration. And then the short story aspects of it, I love the format that was derived from Love, Death, and Robots. You've got Black Mirror on Netflix. You've got, there's one video game one on Amazon. It's basically one episode tells an entire story. It has a beginning, middle, and end. But with my storytelling, however, with these short stories, they still are part of this larger universe, this fantasy timeline, essentially. I do have a couple scripts in the work, but again, I'm kind of pausing until YouTube figures out what they want to do with AI. But again, I use AI as a tool to help me build the story. So. All right, let's go to, and again, a lot of my posts kind of showcase the world too. So what I did here, so the post I did here is that when present needs to pass, the FPR revived the Steam era. So again, I use AI to help build my world out even more. So you'll see snippets of the lore expand a little bit in my posts for right now. So this post, for example, the FPR, the Frostline Pacific, acquires an abandoned legend from overseas to restart the electrified future. If you look at the core lore, that's episode 6. Frostline Pacific was heavily involved in getting basically America into the bullet train era, aka Phase 4. More to come. again, using AI as a tool. And again, I showcased that. Give you guys the original photo. Here's one kind of in the woods. And then doing a great freeze. Trying to think what else here. So nothing, so no, I don't want to say that. The branch line right now is being used for my mega project that I'm currently working on. So the reason why I haven't done any new content with the branch line is that it's being used for my mega project coming up. If you guys don't know what my mega project, oh, not mega project, with my branch line. So basically I've got 3 modulars. I've got Camp Pico, we've got Beginner's Run, and we've got Memorial Pass. These are modulars in the mini-mo format. These are modulars that I can't put in this current setup for Icyville because they're single track mainline, and B, I just don't have the space for it. So Bree allowed me to have these modulars set up in a different location of the house, and I'm kind of using it as a showroom per se. But yeah, I haven't made too much progress on that because the branch line or phase 2 layout may go under some edits. I've been thinking about changing the direction a little bit on it. But more to come on that. I wish we can go back to the Steam era, but that will never happen. Well, the great thing about this hobby is that you can create whatever story you want. And if Frost Line Pacific Railway, we have plenty of stories of how the railway revitalized the Steam era. So you'll see plenty of Steam coming up on the channel. So yeah, it was, so we got the Fires of the Forgotten is a big episode when it comes to Steam revitalization. And then we also got the Ghost of the Ledger. I think the Ghost of the Ledger is probably my favorite story in the FPR right now. Because it basically allowed us to expand any Steam engine that we want. And another cool thing too is in the lore of the FPR, brass actually has a purpose on the railway. It's basically what I've called the brass bloods, and they are basically the MVPs. They are the Hall of Fame locomotives that got basically humanity through the Great Freeze, and they've been painted this brass color to signify that, and that's really highlighted in the little too. And again, I understand the debate about artificial intelligence. I understand it is a very controversial thing, but the tool is so powerful to allow me to create the stories. This would have never happened if the programs of AI weren't a thing. So, again, I try to create my original concepts for a lot of this. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, Gormy. That's why you're going to focus on Steam? Nice. Yeah, can model whatever we want. Yeah, Jeff. We'll work something out. This one's upstairs, though, so we'll talk more offline about that. Yeah, once things settle down, I think we're almost in a position where Yeah, we got a few things to work on, but we'll get you over. All right. And then, we talk about paint schemes. So I do have a post on the first initial paint scheme. I've got 3 paint schemes I kind of want to work after. But the first official paint scheme for the FPR, I know I've got it here somewhere. I just got to find it. So give me a hot minute. We'll find the paint schemes. Here we go. So the first announced paint scheme for the Frostline Pacific Railway is basically a spin off of the Soo line paint scheme, basically swapping the blue for the red, changing the Soo to FPR, and I absolutely love this scheme. So this is the first official announced one that I've got. I've got 2 more paint schemes that's in the works, but I want to make sure that I can do detail work, I can do decals, but this is what I want to get to next. It's a big goal of mine by the end of this year to have one of these diesels in this paint scheme, but we'll see. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I know over the weekend too, we had a train show. It was, I believe, the TCA train show it's typically an O gauge train show, but yeah, I couldn't attend to it. There was other things I was taking care of, so. Yeah, I'm really excited for this paint scheme. All right, let's do some more rail fanning. I know the Austin show is coming up. Let's see, that's the Lone Star NMRA Train Show Austin. Let's see here. All right, Kyle, take it easy. Yeah, I know we're approaching that time. So it's June 18th through the 21st in Austin, Texas, at the Wyndham Garden, Austin. So I think you want to talk about how innovative the Lone Star region is. This is actually going to go ahead and tie nicely back to a post I made recently. Wasn't sure if I was actually going to talk about this, but I think this is a perfect segue into it. So I'm part of, well, this area, oh my goodness, I think it's Lone Star Region 6, or Division 6, if I remember correctly. But anyways, Lone Star Region Division 2 is something kind of brilliant. And so I kind of made a post about it. So Cowcatcher Division 1, I'll share this link, but they actually held one of their meetings both in person and virtually. And the way they did this was absolutely brilliant. They basically had a production crew where you had the meeting, but then you also could see who was on the YouTube side. I think they had Zoom. They had these microphones that both, the people could hear in person with their speakers, but you can also hear them, on the live stream and on the video when they were recording it. So when I saw this was freaking brilliant. And they even had cameras not only bring it on the TV screens, but they also had it so you, the viewer, can see it digitally on the screen. So yeah, when they did the show and tell, that camera was pointing down on the actual item, so it felt like I was part of this NMRA division meeting, which was actually freaking brilliant. I really think that this is the blueprint that all divisions should look at. And I think the NMRA should also use this as a tool. It's like, hey, use this to branch out there, to gain viewership. This is how you let, you know, people know that, hey, this division exists. And then here's a particular clinic that they had. It was about baggage cars of the Santa Fe, Mopac, because that's, you know, the region for this. So this Cowcatcher Division 1, this is the Dallas NMRA division. Yeah, highly recommend giving them a look. Yeah, literally, this is the blueprint for what could be the future. So, but again, I'm just unfortunately talking theoretically. Talking in the theoretical world. But it's nice to see. It's nice that we're getting both the physical and the digital capabilities. Yeah, that was a sweet MP unit. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Go around the layout. Let's bring up this one. When do you think you guys will be at Summer again? So I had to take a break from Summer just because there was so much going on. We had a flood in the garage that I had to deal with. I mean, it was very minor, but had to deal with that. Life lesson learned: always make sure you have good totes in the garage, and always make sure things are elevated in said garage. So had to deal with that, and then there was other things had to take care of. But I'm hoping maybe Sunday. But that's a maybe. Depends on what Bree wants to do, how she's feeling. So I'm not sure when I'll be at Summer again, to be honest. It's just life has just taken my time. This is a view I haven't really showcased much. This is the top-down view. But I'm excited for the future, as always. A lot of good things coming down the pipes. Yep. Yep. I hear ya. Let's see, which other views can we take advantage of? Do this view again. Oh yeah, that's just how it was. Like literally two things happened at the same time for me. It was like, ugh. All have been since resolved, but it's just like, really? pipe had to blow. Like, come on. Now there's a little pinhole leak in one of the copper pipes. Decided to be a troll. It's like, I'm going to release water here. But that's the thing about San Antonio is that if you buy a house here, expect the house to shift. A lot of soil over here is clay, so foundation shifts all the time. Yeah, I know you've been talking about your Berkshire. I want to see it too. It's just, yeah, the clips you keep sending me just doesn't work for some reason. Facebook is being a little troll with it. So I don't know. I don't know. A little shot of the Icyville industrial complex here. Yeah, we will. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Yeah, I had the Dallas trip before that, and then just all the things that happened last week. But I think we're back on track. All right. Go ahead and give the engineer the yellow signal here for the last lap. You'll turn that yellow signal on. And then we'll close up number 75. Yep. Yeah. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and bring up that signal. Go ahead and throw the red there. And bring our locomotive to showcase center. And then we shall call it a stream. Yep, take it easy, Go Army. Yep, take it easy, Jeff. All right, so I'm slowing down the locomotive here. We bring our engine to showcase center. Right. And there we have it. All right, take it easy, Chuck. Yep, appreciate you guys being here. All right, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us today for celebrating yet another 250 episode. Again, typically try to have these once a month, but if a lot of news breaks for 250th paint schemes, like we did say, then we'll just keep doing these type of episodes when rerun the American Freedom Train. Again, 250th only comes once in a lifetime, so with that, might as well celebrate it. So with that, guys, I'm your host, the Ice Dragon, RayronVR, and I'll see you on the next stream. Take it easy, guys.
game